You ever hear the saying, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV?
Yeah, I sure have. My husband sometimes says it.
A 19-year-old woman in London fulfilled her dream of being a doctor by posing as one at a very big hospital in London. Despite never attending medical school, she walked into the hospital wearing a white robe with gloves, confidently blending in with the medical staff. Over the course of the day, she introduced herself as Dr. Christina. And she was even seen handling medical equipment, getting into an ambulance, and even gave a liquid substance to a patient, all without raising suspicion.
Oh, my gosh.
The doctor, quote-unquote, stunt only lasted a day before she was arrested on her second visit to the hospital. This time, she had a stethoscope around her. In court, she was sentenced to 12 months of probation. Additionally, she was banned from entering the hospital ever again unless it's in an emergency. Mm-hmm. Her lawyer argued that she wasn't trying to cause harm, but was simply trying to live out her dream of being a doctor.
That's terrifying.
Hey, there's probably a lot of third shifters who are heading home and probably a lot of nurses and doctors heading there into the hospital. Like, just think about it for a minute. Is that more possible than we think, or is this just a crazy one-off?
I'm sure in a big hospital, like
right?
Other doctors don't know everyone. So if you saw someone new, you'd maybe just think that they're, down from another floor or they're, filling in for somebody. I don't know.
An internist or something like that. Maybe like
or it's just a new person.
Yeah.
You just never know.
They don't call the doctors interns. They're doing
residencies.
Residencies, I guess.
Like a resident.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And maybe they're doing like a rotation and they're, how do you know? Man, she was even seen giving a liquid substance to a patient.
That's the scariest part.
All without raising suspicion because...
Was that like, here, drink this? Or was that like an injection?
I don't know. It doesn't say. I mean, she was 19 too, by the way.
Yeah, they probably thought she was a resident.
The woman's lawyer tried to paint her as someone who simply wanted to fulfill her lifelong dream of becoming a doctor without really endangering anyone. Yeah. Which actually may have worked, this article says, from Oddity Central's where we got it, that may have convinced the judge to go easy on her. She's talking to him, leaning down, almost reassuring him and providing the treatment, her lawyer said, about the interaction with the patient. At one point, she even has a tissue and is wiping his face. It really is almost just living out her dream of being a doctor.
Wow.
She treated a patient who had been brought into the hospital under arrest and was under the supervision of 2 police officers. That didn't intimidate the 19-year-old in the slightest.
Well, she was just getting cozy with the officers because she knew she was going to get arrested soon.
That didn't intimidate her in the slightest. Footage shows her administering a syringe of an unknown substance into the patient's mouth. Luckily, the substance didn't have a negative effect on them. Loren, this is Wendy, and she's a nurse. Wendy, how possible is that?
I don't know, because I've worked in a lot of hospitals, and the first thing that would make people know that she's not a doctor is just the content of her speech, because as a nurse, I can tell when somebody else says that they're a nurse, but they're actually not, like they're a CNA, because the content of their speech just tells me you haven't been to nursing school and there's certain things that you don't understand.
Right.
Also, like...
She wouldn't be using the right terminology. It would be kind of something that would catch your ear. Okay.
Exactly. And you've got to have a login. Like, everything in the hospital these days is electronic. And even like writing orders, giving orders for patients, everything is electronic. So if you don't have a login to get into the computer to put orders in for a patient, you can't order anything.
But she could just like pop into a room and be like, hey, I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm just coming to check
Dr.
on
Christina.
You.
Yeah, she did. She did that. She gave somebody a syringe.
I don't know. It probably wasn't anything lethal. So
no, it wasn't. Yeah.
Anything truly dangerous, and besides, all medications are typically administered by nurses.
Right, yeah. And by the way, the good thing about this crazy story about a 19-year-old walking into the hospital pretending to be a doctor is it only lasted they caught her the next day and arrested her. So it's not like she spent a month there and people were finally like, yeah, I got it.
Would you recognize if a new doctor came onto the floor?
What's that?
Would you recognize if like a new doctor showed up, or is there like a, hey guys, we got a new doctor today, like this person is working?
Yeah, is it a big deal, or would it not be unusual for just a new doctor to show up?
Well, I know that new doctors typically do show up in July after they graduate when you have residents. But also, 19 is way too young. You can't have even been to medical school.
Right.
Well, you must not have ever seen the TV show Doogie Howser.